All right, so Nathan, we're going to be talking about the movie Priscilla, which is, Elvis related media. So I figured we can talk like this for the skit, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa!
Why would we do a Patrick impression for an Elvis movie?
Patrick, like, dude, that was my Elvis impression.
That was your Elvis.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's just scrap that and go right into the episode.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
God damn.
Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast, episode 110. How are we at 110 already?
I don't know.
Feels like just yesterday was 100.
Right?
Anyway,
Jeez.
today we are going to be reviewing Sofia Coppola's latest film, Priscilla.
Priscilla. This is an interesting one because I remember watching Elvis last year and then hearing the news about this film from A24. A24 announced it and Sofia Coppola was directing it. And I was surprised because I'm like, oh, damn, like another Elvis-related film in the span of a year.
Something I definitely wanted to talk about. Do you think that that hurts this film?
Yes and no. I feel like yes in terms of its popularity.
Yeah.
Because Elvis was, let's be honest, Elvis was like Bohemian Rhapsody and like Rocket Man, where that budget was fucking huge.
Yeah, and it had its like moment where that film came out and there was like Elvis hype surrounding it.
Yeah.
Like, people were talking about Elvis again.
It was crazy.
And it's like this, I feel like this one lacked that effect. Like, oh, there's a movie coming out about Elvis's life or Priscilla.
Priscilla, yeah.
Because we already had one last year, it's less exciting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened with films before where it's like The Illusionist and The Prestige, where it's like two similar films, and it's like, well, we know which film made more money in the end. But I doubt that A24 and Sofia Coppola were looking at Priscilla and being like, oh yeah, this is going to be a mega hit.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt that. I'm pretty sure they made it because of the fact that Sofia Coppola wanted to make a Priscilla Presley.
And when you actually watch the film, it's not like they were going for the same thing.
No,
it's not like they're
absolutely
telling
not.
two versions of the same story. It's a completely different story.
Yeah. Like, going into it, like, seeing this in theaters, it definitely had a more grounded vibe.
Yeah.
Which I liked. I liked how this movie started. I want to put that out there because I think we at the end of the day, we're both kind of mixed on the movie.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean like the film doesn't offer a lot of interesting aspects that
I think there was aspects that I certainly liked.
Yeah. Like the beginning of the movie when it's like playing the Venus music and I'm like, oh, that's a very fitting song to like put throughout the movie, as well as
a lot of her score hits for me here. I think the way she uses like the instrumentals of these 50s and 60s music and the way she edits around them with the like the cinematography is beautiful.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
With a bunch of these like she uses close-ups to perfection. I think stylistically the film is beautiful and I think it feels very old school in the way it's shot at times and really immerses you into that period. Like I feel like it was really good at immersing me as like a period piece in that era.
I felt the same way too. With Sofia Coppola's films, like I'm going to be honest, for me, I saw Lost in Translation, On the Rocks, and now this film. I haven't seen Virgin Suicides. I haven't seen Marie Antoinette. I haven't seen
that's
all
the
of her
one with
films.
Kirsten Dunst, right? Kirsten Dunst?
Kirsten Dunst, yeah. I think she's in both of them. But I haven't seen all of her films. But the films I have seen, I could tell she has a style that's very, like, I wouldn't say dreamlike, but it's got that nice, like, very calm, and, you lay back down and you're just like, oh, wow, like, she's doing something a lot of other people aren't really pulling off. Like,
no, it's hard to do what she's doing. Yeah, she's going for a real aesthetic and style. I know exactly what you're saying. Dreamlike, this kind of last. Yeah. But the subject matter is like fucked up. Like the subject matter is this like really toxic relationship.
Yeah. I mean, going into it, I figured the movie, a movie called Priscilla, focusing on Elvis's wife and their relationship together. Yeah. I felt like it was going to be much more darker than like Elvis.
Oh, for sure.
Because Elvis, like, when you watch that, it's like, yeah, it's bombastic, it's in your face, it's everything. It's like, obviously, because it's Elvis fucking Presley.
Yeah. And
it's his perspective.
It paints Elvis in a great light.
Yeah.
And the whole film, it's like, paints him as like, he's the one getting screwed.
Yeah, because it was the Colonel, he's the villain and stuff. In this film, you don't see the Colonel, you don't see his dad.
Right, you see a couple of phone calls.
Yeah.
I feel like they cut to the phone calls a little bit too much in this movie.
I agree.
to kind of have the Colonel character mentioned and his dad mentioned. but not really showing them on camera.
I don't know if because it is based on the book that she wrote. Priscilla wrote this book,
Which I
called
didn't know
Elvis and
about,
Me.
yeah.
So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of aspects in the story that feel like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, the whole popularity and bombastic nature of like the Elvis fandom.
Right.
She was like, I was just sidelined. I just saw it, but like I didn't feel anything because of the fact that like this was my husband and I didn't really have a deeper connection with him as the years went on.
Right.
Which is what you see in the movie, absolutely. But it's like, I don't know, the way it was illustrated, like there was a certain point where the second half of the movie didn't hook me as well as the first half.
Me too.
I don't know if you noticed that too, because like the first half, you see her, and by the way, the actress that they got, her name is what?
Her name is Kaylee Spaney.
Kaylee Spaney. She gives a great performance, and the actor
Absolutely.
they got for Elvis, what's he? Is he the Euphoria guy?
Jacob Eldori.
Jacob
I think,
Eldori.
Yeah, my girlfriend said he was from Euphoria. But I
Yeah.
haven't-
He looked familiar, but I think it was brilliant casting in terms of like visually.
Yeah.
Because she's short and he's like a fucking 6'7" dude.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Yeah, his height definitely gave him the presence of Elvis. When you see him in those wide shots and
But-
he's wearing those suits, it looks like
Yeah.
he looks like a larger than life figure, and I think that really adds to the mystique of Elvis.
And it's a little bit like clever the way they did it because of the height difference, because it also illustrated how young she was when she first met Elvis at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
And I was like,
they do
oh,
not shy away from
no.
that here.
It wasn't like Elvis where it's like the one scene.
They make it, yeah.
The one scene and then they play the Falling in Love song and I'm like, are they just not gonna say, oh, I guess not. We're going to the next montage.
Yeah, they make it very clear here how
Yes.
young she is.
Yep. And it showcases that too, because even when she's older, the actress herself, I don't know if you got the same vibe. She just felt like a kid.
She always felt young.
And throughout the film,
Yeah.
which I don't know if that was the intention. If so, like it was done really well, because like she really doesn't. There's so much shit going on around her that it's like affecting her mentally and physically, and it's just like what's going on and stuff. Also, this movie demonstrates something that the Austin Butler film didn't at all, even though it was part of Elvis's life. His fascination with guns.
Yeah.
I was surprised
I didn't
that
know about that.
I was surprised the Austin Butler one didn't cover that. The only one they did was when he was like fucking drunk and high with the gun in Vegas.
Yeah.
But that was it. It's like, no, he was a gun nut.
I didn't really know he was a
Yeah.
gun guy like that. I thought it was hilarious the scene where like he starts buying
Guns for her.
Priscilla
Yeah.
a bunch of guns, and then she has like 3 outfits laid out
Yeah.
with 3 matching guns.
Yeah.
For the outfits that she's wearing. I think that's so funny.
It's very dark and it's like the framing and everything like that. But
He's always wearing a gun. Like there's even the one scene where he's out like he's waiting outside for Priscilla's graduation.
yeah.
And like when he hugs her and stuff, you realize that he just has like a huge
Yeah.
gun in his holster.
Fucking insane. He's got the dirty hairy gun in his like Magnum. Like, what the fuck are you
What do you
doing?
need that for, bro?
Because that's another thing too, is like when I think Elvis, I think of like, yeah, he was a gun nut. He was into karate as well.
Yeah.
Which they don't show him doing that. They show Priscilla doing that, which I'm assuming the novel is like telling like us that, no, I was fascinated by this. And then Elvis kind of picked it up afterwards.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't be surprised
I
of.
think that was her like taking control of her life. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not into it or because my husband's into it. I'm taking this myself. Like I'm doing the karate myself. To me, that was like
Yeah.
them planting that seed of she's in LA now and she's kind of happy with the idea of living her own life. She's kind of
Yeah.
ready to let go of Elvis.
I really wanted to see more of that.
Yeah.
I think the second half had a lot of opportunities to do that, especially the relationship that she kind of had with the karate dude. I thought they were going to do something with
Yeah.
that. Because I was like, oh, are they going to talk more? Or is this going to be outside of it? And then you cut right back to like Elvis in Vegas. I'm like, I don't need to see this because I already saw it already with Austin Butler.
Yeah, I saw a better version of this performance.
Yeah.
Like already in Baz's.
I'll be honest, it is kind of funny because there are times where the Jacob, what's his name, last name?
Lordy.
Lordy, whatever.
Lordy.
You know, talking like this and stuff. I like, part of me is just like, is it both easy and hard to do an Elvis impression? Like, I always think of it as like the Christopher Walken, like, wow,
It's yeah.
Christopher Walken. Like, you can do the bare minimum and people know you're Elvis.
It's easy. It's hard to do a nuanced Elvis.
Yeah.
And I think Austin Butler did it really well.
Yeah.
So I think when you watch this one, it's like I feel like at times when he's like in the scenes with Priscilla, I feel like he's doing it well because it's like
Yeah.
subtle.
Yes.
But then when he's doing like the performative
Holy
kind of
shit.
version,
Yeah.
and when he's around a crew, it sounds like he's doing more of an impression of Elvis.
Yes, very much so. And I don't know why, but I guess it's because it's like the reverse of like performance wise that I remembered. But like in Elvis, I don't remember the actress playing Priscilla in that film that often.
No.
That's what I mean. And she was sidelined too.
For sure.
In this film, obviously her name's in the title. You see more of her, and she gives an amazing performance.
Yeah.
So it's like you get one or the other. You get Priscilla with the actress playing Priscilla giving the best performance, or you get Elvis with Austin Butler doing his best Elvis performance.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's a given. That makes sense. I'd rather that than the reversed roles in terms of importance.
I agree, but I also agree with you that like in the second half of this film, I think a major thing that's hindering this film is the time. There's too much time skipping.
Yes.
So you can't like sit in the consequences of her. Like, you know, she's essentially living this life. She like Elvis kind of wants to manipulate her to the way that she's.
Yes.
Like, she's on standby in his life whenever he wants her. If he wants to go live the Hollywood life for a while, he'll do that. But like when he wants to be home and just chill, he expects Priscilla to be there 24/7, and they're not leaving the room, and they're just So I think that because the time is always jumping, it's like we don't really get to live in the consequences of her getting her life taken away like that. Like, like it doesn't really touch on how it ruins her family life because it's like
because her parents kind of just get forgotten. As the film progresses.
That's the thing, and it's like there would be real consequences there of like she seems so close to her family in the beginning of the film.
She has a brother.
She had such respect for her dad and her parents in the beginning, and then that kind of just.
I know.
Away with time.
Like,
it's too many time skips.
I really wanted more out of it because the Austin Butler film kind of did that as well, but it went fucking everywhere. It's like I'm in the 70s, now I'm a kid, now I'm a teenager, now I'm an adult, now I'm a teenager, and it's just like, oh fuck. But I kind of fuck with that because at least you're seeing so many variations of that character.
Yeah.
Whereas Priscilla, the timeline is very like we're in the 50s, we're in the 60s, now we're in the 70s, and part of me was like, I really want to see more of these moments because it's like there's a 2-year hiatus of her in high school waiting for Elvis to call her.
Right.
And I'm thinking there's got to be another way to like do this that makes me feel something more.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like, because there's so many opportunities they could do with Priscilla's life. And I'm sure they didn't cover everything in the book.
No.
There's no way. It feels like the book has a lot more than the movie does, in my opinion.
Certainly, yeah. I think there's some cool themes they touch on. Like I love the scenes of like when she moves to Graceland.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like wandering around the house because
That's
it's
good.
like I like that because that's so real. Like from what she comes from, this humble family, and then it's like you have these big house and you have these glitz and glamour, but she also it's like those scenes feel so empty. She seems so empty and like lonely when he's not around.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of him like controlling this girl's life and just building a life where she's around at his disposal.
Right.
I think that's really cool. But I just think there's opportunity here to make me feel more in this film.
Yeah.
And I don't feel so much. It's kind of because this film is kind of like ups and downs, and because the time changes, it'll be like, all right, in this period they had some good times. He went shopping with her. He did some cool experiences. They had a fight.
They went to the casino. They
have a fight, they argue, and then the time's jumping to another time, and they're having a good time, and they're having a bad time, and then the time is jumping to another time.
Right.
And it's like this constant back and forth, but you don't feel the highs so much, and you don't feel the lows as much as I feel like we could have.
Yeah, I don't know if it was budgetary reasons, but I really wanted to see more of her like being maybe on a film set around Elvis because she was.
Yeah.
In the book, they actually illustrate that, which I could talk about like the hint, like because I read a part of it online of a celebrity that she encountered that she would later meet in the future. Again, like she met people around that set and she interacted with them, and there was this part of her that was like so isolated that I don't know, like I I really just wanted more out of the second half.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
I wanted more as well. I think I may be budgetary, but they used the house a lot.
They did.
They used
They
the house.
did.
They used Graceland a lot, and I think we needed some more locations here.
Yeah. You know what really disappointed me was the ending. I really wanted to see more of her life after she left Elvis. I think that was
Yeah.
the one thing that really struck with me, where it was like, this is her life. It goes before and after the whole Elvis thing and how it affected her in the long run. What was her response to like when he died, you know?
Yeah,
I really wanted to see that. I really wanted to see her like in life outside of it. I don't know if the book ends off the same way as her just like leaving.
that's true. It's like the whole goal of this film, or this whole arc that she has, is like finding herself, and she gets her life taken away from her at such a young age. And this is her like finding her own lane and finding a life for herself.
Yeah.
And it's like right as she has the courage to do it and find it, the credits are rolling.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's almost the start of like the movie I want to see.
Yeah.
Where it's
Kind
like,
of,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like I wanted to see that back half. And to your point of with the ending being disappointing, I kind of didn't even know when the ending was coming. It was like I feel like the beats in
Yeah.
this movie in the second half were confusing, and I couldn't tell if the movie was about to end in multiple different parts. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh no, we're getting more toxic scenes. Oh,
Yeah.
we're going another few years into the future.
Because, like, say what you will about, like, the Austin Butler Elvis film, people have said, like, oh, it's very, like, typical biopic and stuff. It's like, yeah, but, like, at least the beats hit harder
The
from
beats
an
hit
emotional
hard,
perspective.
and the pacing was good. Yeah.
I will always think about the last scene where he says goodbye to his, to Priscilla on the plane and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that is a good scene to end off the relationship, because it's just like he's whispering, like, I still love you, goes on the plane, and the plane flies, and then it's just like Elvis died. That to me felt more emotional because of the fact that it fit with the tone and it paid off.
It's true.
It paid off. This felt very, I think the whole film was trying to go for a more quiet, grounded reality of the situation, which is totally fair, but I needed more from that.
Yeah.
You gotta give me more than just, Priscilla in the house just sitting around quiet. All right, cut to her talking to Elvis. Like, is that all you're gonna offer us?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really wanted more from that second half, because the first half established things so well,
Quite nicely.
and
yeah,
it just
I agree.
kind of the runtime really made it feel like
Yeah.
it was just kind of just going.
Felt long at times, felt like it was just going, and like you said, the emotional payoff wasn't really there. Priscilla in the Elvis film
Yeah.
was so sidetracked, but
Yeah.
that moment you just talked about is probably a much more emotional moment than really anything we get here.
And it's because of, you saw Elvis go through drugs,
The
go through
payoff.
so many things, and he's like talking to her, and he's talking to her, and of course it's going to be biased towards his perspective. He's going to look like the one that's broken and innocent. Priscilla, they should have showed that. They should have been like, there should have been a scene with her and Elvis, like, a lot more. That's the thing too. Even when she fucking leaves him, that scene needed to be more emotional for me.
Yeah, when he was just kind of like doesn't say anything, and then he's like, maybe in another life, and just lets her walk off like that.
I just,
I didn't think that scene was
the farewell comparisons in both Elvis related like media. It's like,
I didn't like
come
that
on.
scene. He walks in, and then it's like it's a very short scene,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "How could I be so blind to this?" And it's like, what?
I needed more scenes of him being like, babe, what'd you think of the song? And she's like, I don't know what to think of it. And he throws a chair
Yeah.
at her. I needed more scenes like that where you're like, oh fuck, like that happened. I needed more shocking scenes like that because
It
of the
didn't
fact
feel
that
like their relationship was at rock bottom at that point. Really, it still felt like it was the whole film is just like ups and downs in their relationship, and it didn't feel like it was leading to like a rock bottom where she has to leave.
yeah.
So that's why I didn't know when the end was coming. I was a little bit confused by it.
Elvis was like autopilot as a character in this film. It
Yeah.
felt like I needed to see more of him. Like, either you go all the way with his corrupted attitude and behavior and toxic behavior,
Yeah.
or you make him basically ignore Priscilla by the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck am I doing here? That's what her mindset should be like.
And they plant the seeds for more, like even like the pills. The pills.
Yes! Oh my
pills
God.
are prevalent pretty early in the film. He's giving her pills when she's in the 9th fucking grade.
Yeah.
which is fucking wild.
It's fucking. That's what I mean. Those are those shocking moments of like, how old are you? And it's like, I'm in 9th. It's like 9th what? 9th grade. It's like, me and sitting in the theater watching this, I'm just like, yeah, they're being fucking honest with ourselves. You see that. You see him like giving her pills. You see him taking her to fucking casinos.
Yeah.
When she's like, what, 15, 16 years
Yeah,
old? It's
that's-
like, that shit is shocking.
Exactly. Yeah.
I needed more of that.
It's shocking, and then but the pills are like a thing that's common that's used throughout the whole timeline, even further. But they don't really go into it, and like we all know, Elvis had a really bad drug problem that like ruined him physically and all that. But it's like the only way they kind of show that the pills were affecting his life is like he'll get extra mad and throw a chair occasionally.
Yeah, they needed to do a little bit more than that. I like the chair scene, but you got to build on that.
To me, it wasn't showing that he was really spiraling and
Yeah.
had a real addiction. It was just kind of showing that he was a dick.
Yeah. The scenes I do like, though, are like scenes with him and his buddies, and like Priscilla's there as well.
Yeah.
Because the music that they use for it, it's like, it didn't make me feel happy.
Yeah.
This film isn't like oh yeah, Elvis, he fucking rocks, man. Like this film is like, oh, this is the real life reality of like
Yeah.
isolation and abusive behavior
sure.
and the fact that he got away with it because of his popularity, his standards and stuff. And I don't know, like I really think that it would have been better if they went deeper into that psyche. Because the thing that Elvis, the biopic, the Austin Butler one, I feel like suffered from was the fact that it was such an Elvis film that it's like the Colonel was the villain. The Colonel was the villain all along. He was the one who did it. And Tom Hanks playing his most evil, maniacal cartoon role, which I love.
It's iconic.
But let's be honest, that ain't a real fucking. That's not the reality. You know, he wasn't the only piece of shit in that scenario.
Right.
Elvis was not the one that was getting drugs from the Colonel. He was doing it himself. He was the one who was abusing Priscilla. It wasn't the Colonel. It was like, you got to look at that. And this film could have perfectly demonstrated that even more so. But I didn't see the full picture.
Yeah, they choose not to. They choose to, I really think, ground it and zero in on the toxic relationship that these two had.
Yeah.
Kind of ignoring the rest of the factors. The factors, like you said, we didn't get scenes where he was on sets and stuff. And the reality is that I'm sure they were on sets a lot of times together. They mostly just make it feel like Priscilla was just sitting there waiting when he was working all the time. And they don't go into they just don't go into the full picture of what Elvis was, his addiction. I feel like they don't cover it enough, and they just kind of lock in on this relationship. It's kind of like a relationship study.
Yeah.
The whole film, and it's cool, and there's parts of it I like, and I think there's parts of it that is explored well, but it's hard not to feel like there's a little bit of a missed opportunity here to do something a little bit more.
I think so. And with Sofia Coppola, like I said, with the dreamlike feel, I definitely saw that when they were both high on LSD.
Oh,
Like
love that. Love that sequence.
I like it because of the fact that it reminded me of like Lost in Translation, like that moment with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. And it's like I like moments like that because it illustrated Sofia Coppola's directing of these two characters trying to connect in some way. And the only way they can, the only time that they were really happy in that second half was when they both got high. And it's like, what does that say about their relationship really? And it's
Exactly.
I like that part, but the rest of the film didn't reach its heights as well as I thought it would.
No, story wise, it didn't do it for me. But
No.
cinematography wise, I was quite impressed.
Yeah.
Some of the way that the scenes, some of the sequences like switch styles completely. I love like how sometimes when they're around with the friends and Priscilla, they'll cut to like a Super 8 home video style, then cut back with some cool music. And like they cut to that home video style a few times in different like eras in the timeline.
Yeah.
And if you notice the home video camera quality changes. So at first it's like a real
Nice.
Super 8. Like, and then it changes to like a bigger kind of like a different quality video in like the 70s. So I noticed that, and I thought that was a cool little nod, and that kept me immersed in that time period. Cinematography wise, Sofia Coppola, I mean, she comes from good stock.
Yeah.
She's trained and by one of the greatest directors of all time.
But
I'm sure she learned a lot from him.
She stood out from her father
But she
Francis
stands
in any
out.
way because like a lot of her films like you said, like Lost in Translation, like that film feels like her film. This film feels like her film.
Yeah.
The sad reality for me, at least, and this goes with a few other directors that have been popular and acclaimed, I just didn't connect.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will connect, especially with Priscilla's character in this
I
film.
think so too, yeah.
But for me, I feel like the style and the opportunities that I wanted to see didn't really come through, especially in the second half. Yeah, I mean, we do have some questions listed here, but I
Yeah.
think it's a given that what we both think, like Elvis or Priscilla, out of the films, and I think we both agreed that Elvis was a more enjoyable film.
Yeah, I think Elvis was the epic. Elvis is the, if you have to pick a film about Elvis to watch, it's Elvis. Or,
Yeah.
about this in general, it's Elvis. Priscilla is a different watch, not one that I
Yes.
say I could recommend for everybody.
No.
But I think there's definitely an audience that would love this film.
I think the hardcore
And-
Sofia Coppola fans, because there are a lot, and I feel like if you like,
Yeah.
if you like her style, if you like her direction, this film is literally that, but focusing on Priscilla Presley.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure. And what's your rating of this film, Nesh?
I'm looking at a 6 out of 10. I think it's because of the fact that there is so much opportunity here, and there is things in this film that no other biopic has really dared to try out. Because that's the
Yeah.
thing too. Like it comments on a lot of things that we're just like, ooh. It's like, yeah, there's no way Baz Luhrmann's Elvis was gonna cover this shit, man.
Right.
Like it is refreshing to see that perspective.
Yeah.
And to see a more grounded reality on the subject matter. So yeah, I would say 6 out of 10. Not my favorite, but solid overall.
I'm going to have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Solid overall. It's not like I feel like I wasted my time watching this film.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I just think it could have did a little bit more, and for that reason, 6 out of 10. I think
Yeah.
is an appropriate score for this one here.
Yeah. We didn't hate the film, by the way, even though we were commenting and like criticizing a few aspects. It's because we wanted more out of it, and to us,
Yeah.
it's like,
It's because it touches these interesting themes. I think
Yes.
at times, and it's like we wanted to see a little bit more out of it.
Yeah.
But it's still an accomplishment in itself that it touches these interesting themes
Mm-hmm.
and immerses you in this world and takes you on this ride of this toxic relationship. And I
Right.
think
absolutely.
does so pretty well. So 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Is a fair rating for this film.
Not too bad.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen Priscilla? What did you think of this film? Let us know. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe to your boys, and we will catch you in the next one. Take care. I'll brush your hair.
Peace.